So this is Scholarship Arc 21.0, and with me is Oluyemisi Oladejo. You are a certified US certified IELTS trainer and winner of TOEFL Prize, the first African winner of TOEFL Prize for 2022. Going through your LinkedIn profile, to be honest with you, I was I was fascinated. So much there from your TOEFL Prize. Just everywhere was loaded. So, Mrs. Yemisi, from your viewpoint, can you introduce yourself to the viewers out there?
So this is Oluyemisi Oladejo, the winner of the 2010 African Writers Prize for Creative Nonfiction, a co-winner of the 2021 Ogun State Academic Laureate, and the first African to win the TOEFL English Practitioners Prize in the year 2022. I have won another prize for 2023. I have won another international prize for 2023, but I'm not disclosing it yet for reasons best known to me. Now, Oluyemisi Oladejo has many publications to her credits, textbooks, fictions, non-fictions, and all. And she has affiliations with many education initiatives. Oluyemisi Oladejo is a US certified IELTs trainer. I think that's about all I want to say for now.
That's already so much. Thank you very much for the brief introduction. Thank you. And for the non-disclosure, that's not a problem. We are following your LinkedIn, so whenever I decide to disclose it, we'll see it and we'll congratulate you.
Thank you very much.
So, like I said earlier, those are the title of the Zoom meeting. Says this is an IELTS edition because we've been getting lots of questions from members of our community. Oh, want to sit for the exam? How do you preparation? What materials should we use? What group should we join? It just keeps popping up over and over. We've had a session before on TOEFL, but we still have some other people that are willing that really want to just write the other one and not the TOEFL. So getting to meet you, it's like a game changer for us. So you can share your screen now, walk us through everything. And yes, by the end of your screen sharing and session, I may have some very tiny questions for you.
Okay. So let me commence this session by introducing the topic, which is how to ace IELTS in simple steps. How to ace IELTS in simple steps. Of course, you agree with me that getting resources for IELTS should not be an issue. There are tons of resources online. There are websites, there are YouTube videos and all. And I think one of the challenges that people have when accessing these resources is that there are too many of them and it can really become overwhelming and cumbersome. And you don't know which to study, you don't have a definite pattern for your study. And trust me, not having a definite pattern for your study can actually affect your score, can actually affect your preparation. So this evening, I'm going to be shedding light on, I'm trying to reposition this. So I'm going to shed light on how to structure your study, things you need to get right. So the title for this session is How to Ace IELTS in Simple Steps. Okay, so these are the 6 steps you need to follow. These are the 6 steps, these are the 6 things you just need to get right. Otherwise, your practices, the blog posts you've been reading, the trainings you've paid for might not really yield much if you do not master these 6 steps. Number 1, you have to master time optimization tricks. Then you need to own a band 9 checklist. I'm going to explain each of this one after the other. You need to own a band 9 checklist. Third, you need to get familiar with question type and answer question types. I was going to write question types. Question types and the answer requirements for each. I'm going to explain all of these things in details. Then you get to grips with synonyms and paraphrases. Also, you need to follow instructions to the letter. Lastly, practice, practice, practice. This is just an outline of what you are going to encounter in this session. So reserve your questions, your query until I'm done with this. Okay, so the first point there, master time optimization tricks. Many people who have taken IELTs in the past and weren't successful will tell you that they actually knew the answer to the questions, just that they didn't have enough time. I'm telling you that there is no success in IELTs if you do not know how to optimize time. So it's important for you to optimize time. I think I will just bring this thing down. It's blocking my view. Okay. So it's important for you to know how to optimize your time. Many people who have taken IELTs in the past will complain that, okay, they didn't get their desired band score because they knew the answers to the questions, but they didn't have enough time. If you do not master the art of time optimization in IELTS, you'll find that the 1 hour you have for the reading test will be too much. And the 2 minutes you have, will be too, what's it now? Will be too few, too little. Then you'll find that the 2 minutes you have for the part 2 of the speaking test will be too much. 2 minutes will be like 2 hours when you are in the speaking test, whereas an hour will be like 10 minutes when you are in the reading test. So you need to master time optimization tricks. Okay. I said many candidates find they know the answer, but they're unable to answer all the questions in the reading test and in the writing test. Also, in the speaking test, people quickly run out of ideas, especially when you are in part 2, where the examiner asks you to speak for 2 minutes. And you speak for 30 seconds, or you speak for 1 minute, and you feel like, won't this man stop me? Won't this woman stop me? It's because you've not mastered the art of optimizing time. Then in the listening test, if you do not master how to optimize time in the listening test, it is very easy for you to get distracted. And once you get distracted, the time you've lost can never be recovered. So it's important you master time optimization tricks. So in this session, I'm going to be spending some time teaching you how to optimize time for each of the modules. You know that IELTS has 4 modules: the listening module, the reading module, the speaking module, and the writing module. For each modules, you need to master time optimization. So the specific things, specific structures you should put in place to optimize time, I'm going to be explaining. So how do you optimize time in the reading test? Time optimization for the reading test. Time optimization for the reading test. First and foremost, you can waste time. You can waste time. Excuse me. Okay. You can waste time looking for the answer in the wrong place. So you should always have this at the back of your mind, that if the type of question you are answering part time is not a matching heading task, It's not a matching feature task, and it's not a matching information task. For all other type of questions, you will always get your answers in order. By getting answers in order, what I mean is that where I got the answer from, where I got the answer for question 3 will always be below where I got the answer for question 2. So if I know I'm answering question 7, I will not look above where I found the answer to question 6 because the answer will not be there. Checking above question 6 is tantamount to wasting time. I will not find my answer there. So if I'm looking for the answer to question 7, and I have spotted where I found the answer to question 6, definitely I know I'm going to look below that spot. I hope that makes sense. So that's what I mean when I say questions come in order. That is, answers to questions come in order. Another way by which you can optimize time in the reading test, I've said you should know that answers come in order so that you won't waste your time checking the wrong place. That's the first thing. The second one is that you should attempt the easier question types first. Okay, it's important for you to answer all 40 questions in the reading test, but no rule says you should answer question 1 before you answer question 40. Yes, try and answer all questions. But if the easier questions are in the middle or towards the end, look out for them. Answer them first. There is a reason for that. I'm going to explain later. We'll still get to a part where I explain that in detail. But in your own interest, having practiced, having studied, having taken training, you know the different types of questions, and you know the easier ones, you know the tougher ones. Please reserve the tougher ones for later. Give your best. You agree with me that the best time is when you are just starting. By the time you are nearing the finishing line, fatigue may set in, frustration may set in, any other thing can occur. But your chances are very good with easier questions. There are tougher questions that you know that when you answer them, well, it's maybe a 50-50 chance. But with easier questions, there are some questions that you are 100% sure that you will answer them correctly. Do not deny yourself of the opportunity of answering those easier questions correctly. Because if you waste time on tougher questions, which you are not even certain you will get correctly, by the time you want to move on to easier questions, your time might be up. So don't waste your time on tougher questions. Answer the easier questions first. I hope that is clear. Then, here is it. It is designed that you spend an average of 90 seconds on each question. But with constant practice, you can spend an average of 30 seconds on the easy question types. So the excess in time can compensate for the time deficit in tougher question types. Now, I've said this again. There are different types of questions which you'll be familiar with if you take trainings, if you watch YouTube videos. There are question types that you'll be familiar with. But before you go on answering these questions, you know that you want to answer the easier questions first. Also, it is important for you to know that, okay, I want to answer 40 questions in 60 minutes. Definitely, I'm expected to spend 90 seconds on your question. But this is not to scare you. This is not to scare you at all. I want to tell you that there are some question types that you may spend 2 minutes or more on one question. And the good news is that there are some question types that, with practice, you can spend below 30 seconds on them. So these easier question types, by the time you practice 1, 2, or 3 times, you are able to answer you're able to answer an easier question type in the space of 20 to 30 seconds. That way, instead of spending 90 seconds, you spent 30 seconds. You are able to reserve the time. You are able to reserve the 1 minute excess on that question, the 60 seconds excess on that question. You're able to reserve it to compensate for the tougher questions which they expect you to answer in 90 seconds, but which in reality you may be answering in more than 2 minutes. So these are the tricks for time optimization. If you adhere strictly to the points I've noted here, checking the right place for the right question, because questions come in order, then attempting the easier questions first, then trying to spend 30 seconds or below on easier questions, you'll find that you will be able to answer all 40 questions in the space of 1 hour. So that's about time optimization with regard to the reading test. Now let's move on to the speaking test. Now in the speaking test, you experience the opposite of what you experience in the reading test. In the speaking test on the average you take between 11 minutes and 14 minutes. Between 11 and 14 minutes, you are done with the speaking test. And you know the speaking test has 3 parts. Part 1, I don't want to go into detail because there are so many things to do here. Since this is not an IELTS lecture, rather it is a webinar to give you the orientation you need. So I won't go into the detail, but there are 3 parts in the speaking test. Now, the parts where people usually have problem is part 2. In part 2, the examiner expects you to speak uninterrupted for 2 minutes, 120 seconds. And you know that time can pass quick. Time can pass really fast. But if you've not mastered the art of time optimization for the speaking test, you realize that you've spoken and spoken and spoken, and this examiner is not asking you to stop talking. Is it not yet 2 minutes? So you need to master how to speak for 2 whole minutes. So the points I'm going to raise here, the 3 points here will help you. I said it is not a bad idea to fill time with introduction and expressions that are only tangential. That is, those expressions, the introduction and the expressions are not directly related to what you are saying. Of course, they are related, but not directly. So they are simply tangential to what you are saying. Now, it is important for you to have it at the back of your mind that the speaking test is not a test of your knowledge. Rather, it is a test of your speaking competence. So the examiner is not out to check how much you know. Rather, he is out to check how much you can express yourself. So what I mean by filling time with expressions and introduction that are tangential to the topic. What I mean is this. Let's say the examiner has asked me to describe a time when I stood in a queue. The examiner has asked me to talk about a time when I was in a queue for a long time. Of course, I'm supposed to start talking about my experience, but no, I can start talking about my experience. But if you are someone who who is just starting out, or you are not an examiner, you are not an IELTS expert, you just want to take this exam and pass, it won't be a bad idea if you start telling us about skills and also to fill time. Before I start talking about my experience, I can say skills are common sights in today's society. People queue for many reasons. You see queues in schools, you see queues in banks, people queue. You can just try and say things about queue before you move on talking about your own experience when you were in a queue for a long time. I hope that is making sense to us. So if you don't do this, nobody will penalize you. If you don't give us introduction, nobody will penalize you. If you don't give us expressions that are indirectly related to your topic, nobody is going to penalize you. But chances are good that you exhaust everything you want to say before the expiration of 2 minutes. So that's why you can just use that to buy time. Say things that are not very important. Let's say, very important, yes. Let's say, I want to give you another instance. Let's say the examiner has asked me to describe a part of my city where I love spending time in. Okay, I can start by giving a general overview about my city. I am from, or I live in the city of Ilaro in Ogun State, Southwest Nigeria. Ilaro is a small city, but basic amenities are available. You know, I've not started talking about the part of the city. All these things I'm saying is just to buy time, but care must be taken. When you are saying things that are tangential, you are not, this is not the main focus. So don't waste too much time on that. Just be brief. You can use that to buy about 30 seconds. And then you move on to the core question. Okay, the part of my city where I love spending time in is the amusement park. The beautiful thing about the amusement park of my city is that it has provision for both children and adults. You can now begin to say as many things as you want to say about the amusement park in your city, but you've used the general overview of your city to buy time. That's what I mean, that it's not a bad idea. If you don't do it, you'll not be penalized, but if you do it, you may be able to speak for 2 whole minutes without exhausting your ideas. That's the first point, time optimization trick. The second time optimization trick is that you should learn to break ideas down to bits and pieces in order to make multiple sentences. Many people have this problem. A lot of people have this problem. What someone will say in 1 sentence, I can say it in 10 sentences. But if you don't break that 1 sentence down to 10 sentences, by the time you speak 1 sentence and you speak another sentence, you've run out of ideas, and then the examiner will be looking at you. You'll be looking at the examiner. And please bear it in mind that it is wrong for you to run out of ideas and keep quiet. You don't keep quiet. You don't. So the only way you can speak for 2 full minutes without running out of, I won't say the only way, one of the ways, without running out of ideas, is for you to break ideas down into bits and pieces. Still on the example of amusement park. Okay, I made a sentence the other time. I can't even remember. Okay, yes, I said, one thing I like about this amusement park is that there is provision for adults and children. There's provision for adults and there's provision for children. That is one sentence. Now, if I have not mastered the art of breaking ideas down, I may say that sentence and exhaust and run out of ideas. But as someone who has mastered how to break ideas down into bits and pieces, now listen to me. Listen to how I'll break that sentence down. I love this amusement park because it makes provision for both children and adults. For example, there are small sheds made with bamboo in a modern style where adults can sit to relax, enjoy breeze, or read books, or chat with friends or other adults in the park while children are playing on the field. Also, adults are able to monitor children from where they are seated because the bamboo huts built in the amusement park are built in such a way that whatever is happening on the field can be easily seen by anyone in the huts, in the sheds. So that's it. You can see that I've made about 2 or 3 sentences. How many sentences have I made now? I've made many sentences because I broke it down. So a smart way of doing this is through main sentences, descriptions, and examples. You see that in the illustration I just gave now, I said I love the amusement park because there is provision for both adults and children. That is one sentence, which is the main sentence. Then I gave descriptions. If you have the time, you can give examples too. So to give example, I can move on to say, most times when I go to this amusement park with my daughter, I prefer to stay in the huts so that I can watch my children, I can watch my daughter playing on the field. But in order not to get bored, I go with a novel that I can read while enjoying the evening breeze. That is an example. So move on from main idea to giving descriptions and explanations. Move on from giving descriptions and explanations to giving examples. There is no way you want to do all of this that the examiner will not stop you. Because by the time you realize it, you've exhausted your 2 minutes. And then lastly, don't stop talking until you are told to do so. Don't make the mistake of looking at the examiner because you said everything you want to say. Don't make that mistake. Even if you think you said everything you want to say, there are other things. There are things that are not exactly relevant to what you're saying. Of course, they could be relevant, but not exactly. They could be indirectly relevant, but not exactly relevant to what you're saying. Continue to say those so that your mouth will not stop moving. So I think those 3 ideas can help you optimize time and the speaking test. Now let's move on to the listening test. How do you optimize time in the listening test? Now, you really won't have to do much of time optimization in the listening test because the time has been set for you. You are answering the question as you are listening. You are not given a separate time frame to answer. Rather, as you are listening to the recording, you are answering the question. So you really don't have much to do. But one of the ways by which people fail to optimize time in the listening test is to stop and wonder, is to stop and ponder. A lot of people make this mistake, and I'm telling you, this thing is easier said than done. As I'm saying it, you may feel, okay, no problem now. They said I should not stop to ponder or wonder. I won't stop. but the temptation will be high by the time you start practicing. Please practice as much as possible. By the time you start practicing, and at a point you realize that you've missed an answer, the temptation will be high. In fact, it's going to be, you are going to do it unconsciously. You will do it without being conscious of what you are doing. By the time you realize that you've missed the question, naturally you start wondering, start pondering, oh, what did that speaker say? Oh, I didn't get that. Oh, did he say river or did he say ocean? Oh, was that, did I hear brother or did I hear father? Don't stop to ponder or wonder. Move on, move on. By the time you are pondering and wondering, I'm telling you, the answers to the subsequent questions have been said, and you've missed those too. So if you've missed one, forget about it. Focus on the rest. That is time optimization strategy. And then, because the listening test can be a little challenging, because at once you want to listen, you want to read, and you want to write all at once. You are listening to the recording, you are reading your questions, and you are writing your answers all at once. So you don't need to waste your time or your energy on worry about spelling. Did I spell this right? Should I say has or have, or is it had I should say? Should I have written did or should I have written does? No, please. Just write as the idea is coming, as the answers are coming. Keep writing. No stopping, no waiting, no loitering. Keep writing. You have 40 minutes for the listening test, but the examiners have factored this in, that you might have made grammar mistakes or spelling mistakes or any other mistake. So they give you only 30 minutes to listen. And once you are done listening for 30 minutes, they still give you 10 minutes to refine your work. So everything you need to fix, you can begin to fix after you are done listening. But when you should be listening, please don't waste your time checking spelling, checking grammar, checking punctuation. Just write it anyhow. You can fix that later. So these are the tricks to optimizing time in the listening test. Now, in the writing test, I've highlighted the 3 ways by which you can optimize time. The first one is for you to create an outline before you start writing. Many people will think it is counter-instructive. No, outline is not a waste of time. When you draw your outline, in paragraph 1, what do I want? In paragraph 2, what do I want to say? In paragraph 3, what do I want to say? In paragraph 4, what do I want to say? By the way, why there are many other templates, one template that really works for the task 2, I'm not teaching you here. I'm not teaching you, so I won't dwell so much on that. But one template that works really well for the task 2 or the writing test is for you to write everything in only 4 paragraphs, no more, no less. Write what you want to write in 4 paragraphs. So in your outline, you've decided what you want to write in each paragraph. Doing this will help you to save time, because by the time you start writing, you won't have to rack your brain. What else should I say? Oh, where should I put this idea? Should it be in paragraph 1 or paragraph 2? Even your work will be neat. You won't have to write and cancel. You won't have to write and cancel. You won't have to write and erase. So making an outline really saves time. Tried and true. Tried and true. I'm talking to you from experience. Making an outline won't waste your time. It will save your time. That's number 1. Number 2, time yourself. Time yourself each time you practice. This is what I do for my students. When they start any writing task, I check the time. This is the time. When they are just starting, I won't tell them this is when to stop. Continue writing. Some may write task 2 for 1 hour. Some may write for 1 hour, 10 minutes. Write it anyhow. But check, you will know when you are making progress. From experience, most of my students, when they check the time, when they are writing, the first time they may spend an hour. Subsequent time, the time will reduce. The time will reduce. It will continue to reduce. And trust me, with constant practice, you will practice to the point where you are able to answer, where you are able to complete task 2 in 40 minutes. And you are able, I am a trainer, I am an expert. I can complete task 2 in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I can complete task 1 in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 12 minutes. I can. But you really don't need to go that far because you're not training anyone. You're not an expert. You don't want to take this exam, pass it, and forget about it. So practice to the point, this is the third point now, practice to the point where you are able to answer, you are able to complete task 2 in 40 minutes and task 1 in 20 minutes. If you are still writing task 2 in 50 minutes, you are not ready for the exam. Don't go and take the exam. If you are still completing task 1 in 30 minutes, don't go and take the exam. You are not ready. Practice to the point where you are able to achieve this 20 minutes, 40 minutes respectively for task 1 and task 2. Okay, another point, another step to acing IELTS is to own a band 9 checklist. Another thing you can do to pass IELTS, to have band 7 and above. Really, if you have anything below band 9, we don't regard it as a pass. Of course, there are so many universities now that will allow you to, that will offer you admission, that will offer you scholarship with band 6.5. Yes, I know quite a number of universities that can offer you admission with band 6.5. But we don't believe you've passed if you've not achieved anything. If you've not achieved band 7 or more. So one of the things you can do to ace IELTS is to own a band 9 checklist. You won't find this on Google. This information, this piece of information I'm sharing with you, you won't find it on Google. You won't find it with most trainers because trainers can tell you, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. There are so many rules, minor rules, that it's easy to trivialize them, or it's easy to forget them or neglect them. So what I do for my students is to give them, before we start at all, I give them the band 9 checklist. And I tell them, until you are able to check every box in this checklist, you are not ready for the exam. So as you are studying, you are making progress, check the boxes. I'm not saying the ideas in these boxes, the ideas in this table, I'm not saying you can't find them elsewhere. You can find them elsewhere, but it's hard for you to find them in one place. So get all these things together in one place so that you don't gloss over one, or you trivialize one, or you ignore one, or you forget one. When you put everything together, you are able to track your progress. That's why I said you should get your band 9 checklist. I'm not going to force my band 9 checklist on you. I'm just telling you, this is what my own band.
Hello, Yemisi, are you still here with us? We lost
Band
you.
9 checklist looks. Apologies. I was saying, okay, this is what my band 9 checklist looks like. So you must be able to check all these boxes. Your ability to understand different accents of English, your ability to understand all types of questions in the listening test, and the answer requirements for each. Your ability, your familiarity with the strategies for answering each type of question in the listening test. Then you should be able to predict accurately. Then you should be able to identify keywords. You should be mindful of inflections. By inflections, I mean that S that makes us to know that this word is singular or plural, or that D or ED that makes us to know that this word is used in the past tense. In the reading test and the speaking test, the examiner will not forgive you if he expects you to write houses and you write house. He will not forgive you if you are expected to write boy and you write boys. The examiner will not forgive you if you are expected to write danced and you write dance, or you're expected to write dance and you write danced. So those are inflections. You must be mindful of them. Don't forget. You must be mindful of inflection. That skill is very important. You must have that skill. You must also have the skill of competence in skimming and scanning. That relates to the reading test. Then you must be able to identify all the question types in the reading test and the answer requirements for each. This is it. There are different types of questions in the reading test, just as there are different types of questions in the listening test. When you see a question, you must be able to identify it. Oh, this is matching headings. Oh, this is multiple choice. Oh, this is matching features. You should be able to tell. The moment you see a question, you should be able to tell the type of question it is. And then you should be able to identify the answer requirements and the strategies for each. Then in the writing test, you should be able to identify each type of essay. There are different types of essay in the writing test. The problem and solution essay, the advantages and disadvantages essay, the double barrel questions, the discussion questions, and all. When you see a topic, when you see an essay topic, you must know the type of essay you are being asked to write. And then practice to the point where you are able to generate your ideas between 3 and 5 minutes in the writing test. If you are unable to generate your ideas, if you're unable to come up with ideas in the first 5 minutes of your writing test, chances are good that you won't be able to complete your essay. By the time you are stopped, by the time you are stopped by the examiner, you are not done with your essay if you are unable to generate ideas in the space of 5 minutes. Then you need the ability to interpret diagrams. Yes, I believe that most of the people listening to this are taking IELTs academic, and that one will require you to interpret graphs, maps, charts, process, and all. the task 1 of the writing test requires you to interpret this. So you must be able to interpret this. Then you need the ability to sustain conversation with strangers in English. That is related to the speaking test. If you get scared when speaking English, if because the person in front of you is not your dad or your mom, is not your friend or your relative, you get scared or you begin to stammer, chances are good that you may not do well in the speaking test. So you must feel comfortable. You must practice to the points where you feel comfortable to sustain conversation with a stranger in English language. Then you have to practice. I compel my students, practice across the 4 modules. Practice about 3 times, minimum 3 times for each module before you go for the exam. So these are the items in my checklist. I'm not imposing it on you, but if you have this, if you have your checklist, everything together in one place, you are able to track your progress. You are able to check the boxes as you are making progress. That way, when you are ready for the exam, you know it yourself that I'm ready for the exam. Okay, another thing I said is that you should get familiar with question types and the answer requirements for each. When I say answer requirements for each, I don't mean all the 40 questions you will answer in the reading test and in the listening test. No. The 40 questions you will get in the listening test, for example, may just comprise about five to 7 types of questions. The 40 questions you'll be answering in the listening test may just comprise 5 to 7 types of questions. But you don't know the types of questions that will be coming. That's why you need to get familiar with the types of questions and the answer requirements for each. The types of questions and the answer requirements for each. Okay, if I get matching heading, how do I do it? If I get, this is what I mean. You shouldn't mix up the answer requirements. If you do, it may be disastrous. I'm going to explain that shortly. So for now, in the listening test, we have 10 types of questions. You may only get 5 types of questions in all the 40 questions you get for your own exam, but get familiar with all 10. In the reading test, we have 14 types of questions. Out of these 14, you may only get 5 or 6, but get familiar with all 14 because you don't know the types you'll be getting. Now, these are the 10 types of questions you will encounter in the listening test. Table completion task, form completion task, notes completion task, sentence completion task, summary completion task, diagram completion, map labeling task, short answer questions, matching task, and multiple choice questions. Fortunately for you, all completion tasks have the same pattern of answers. But you know that you won't use the strategy you use for completion task. For matching heading, it won't work. You won't use the same strategy you use for completion task for multiple choice questions. It won't work. And then these are the 14 types of questions in the reading test: matching headings, matching features, matching information, matching sentence ending, matching multiple choice questions, true, false, not given task, yes, no, not given task, summary completion task, table completion task, flowchart completion task, notes completion task, sentence completion task, short answer questions, diagram labeling task. Now, listen to this. Yes, most of these completion tasks have the same pattern, the same strategies. The same strategies, the same set of strategies will work for all these completion tasks. Yes. But I want to tell you that the strategy for confusion task cannot work for matching headings. And funnily, let me say this in unequivocal terms. The strategy you will use for matching headings will not work for matching features. Tried and true. Tried and true. If you use the strategy for matching headings, for matching features, you will waste time. And there is 90% chance that you won't get the answer right. So for each of these question type, you must know the strategy that works, because the strategy that works for A does not necessarily work for B. That is what I mean. Then get to grips with synonyms and paraphrases. This is very important. It is essential. Synonyms. The moment you identify a keyword, think of synonyms. Because most times in the reading test and in the listening test, what you see in the question will be different from what you see in the passage read. What you see in the passage you are reading is different from what you see in the question, in the listening test, most times. In the listening test, in the listening test, what you hear in the recording is different from what is in the question. That is why you need the ability. When I say different, I mean different words, but the same meaning. That's what we mean by synonyms. The meanings are the same, but the words are different. For example, if I come across hungry, if hungry is my keyword in the question, I'm listening out for in the recording. I know that chances are very good, chances are very high that I may not hear hungry in the recording. I may hear starving. I may hear famished. If I hear begin, if I see begin in the question and begin becomes my keyword, I may not hear begin in the recording. I may not see begin in the passage read. Rather, I may see commence. I may see launch. I may see flag off. I may see. So those are synonyms. So the moment you are citing your keywords, be thinking of synonyms. If I don't hear this word, what other word may I hear? Am I likely to hear? What other word am I likely to hear? Then paraphrases. The sentence may not always, when you see a sentence in the question, you might see the same sentence in the passage and not know. Because when you paraphrase, you use different sets of words. When I paraphrase a question, when I paraphrase a sentence, when I paraphrase a sentence, I rewrite that sentence using different sets of words, but retaining the meaning. So a sentence may be in the passage and still be in the sentence. And you won't know that you found the answer. I may still be in the question, You won't know that you found the answer because you are looking for exact words. You may not always get exact words. You may not get this exact set of words. Most times you may not get exact set of words. What is important is that the ideas are identical. We are looking out for identical ideas, not identical set of words. That's what we mean by paraphrases. So get to grips with paraphrases. And then follow instructions to the letter. I cannot stress this enough. If you cannot follow instructions to the letter, you are not ready for IELTs. Examiners will penalize you. They won't forgive you for flouting only one instruction. For example, in the listening test or the reading test, if the instruction says, write your answer in no more than 2 words, believe me, if you write 3 words, you are wrong. Your answer is correct. You've actually written the answer they expect you to write. But they said that answer must come in 2 words. If you write 3 words, you are marked wrong. If the instruction says, write in 2 words and or a number. If the instruction says, write in 2 words and or a number, and you write, if the instruction says, write 2 words and or a number, it means you can write 2 words, or you can write 2 words and a number, or you can write only a number without writing any words. But if you go on to write 2 words and 2 numbers, you are wrong. Even if the answer is exactly what is in the passage or is in the recording you've listened to, the fact that they said a number and you wrote 2 numbers has invalidated your answer, so you are penalized. But you won't know this if you don't read the instructions. Read the instructions and don't read them for reading's sake. Follow the instructions to the letter. Another one is this. If the instruction says you can use a number twice, for example, in some matching tasks, they may give you a number, they may give you a list of numbers or a list of letters, and you think, I'm just to use one letter once, I'm just to use one number once, and the instruction says you can use a letter twice. The examiner has written that there for you, so that the examiner has written that there for you because they know that you will need to use a number twice. They won't write that there if they've not seen that a letter or a number is needed twice. So if you ignore this instruction or you gloss over it, and you've used letter B for paragraph, you've used letter B for question 2, you've used letter B for question 2, you've used letter C for question 3, and you are in question 4, because you've used letter B, you don't want to use it again. Meanwhile, the examiner knows that that letter B is useful for both question 2 and question 4. So that is why they've said you can use the letter twice. So it's important for you to follow instructions in the letter. I tell my candidates, following IELTS instruction is as meticulous as returning capital letters for them. If they write the answers, if they write the options in capital letter, write your answer in capital letter. If they write the options in Roman numerals and the Roman numerals are capitalized, capitalize your Roman numerals. If the Roman numerals are in small lettering, write your Roman numerals in small letters. Following their instruction is that for minor things you take for granted, things you trivialize, they can invalidate your answer. So that's about following instruction to the letter. The last one is practice, practice, practice. I'm telling you, you can listen to this recording over and over. You can pay 100,000 naira for IELTS training. Nothing under the heaven takes the place of practice. Nothing. Many people make the mistake of pending their practice till the day of the exam. Most of these rules are easier said than done, as I've said. Okay, you say, I've mastered the theory. I know the rules. I know the strategies for matching heading questions. I know the strategies for this. I know the strategies for that. Don't wait till the day of the exam to implement these strategies, because on the day of the exam, you'll find that these strategies are not that easy to implement, are not as easy as they've sounded. So it doesn't matter how much time you've invested in training. It doesn't matter how many times you listen to this recording. Nobody under the heaven can help you when it comes to practice. The practice is yours to do, and nobody will help you. So practice. I'm telling you, when you practice, in fact, most of my students, the first time they practice, they complain, hey, will I pass IELTs? Because this thing I did, I got 2/10. Because I practiced for the first time. You will discover that when you practice for the second time, you get higher marks. Subsequent times, your mark will begin to improve. Your time optimization strategy will become perfect. Nothing will take the place of practice, 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 practice. And with that, I have come to the end of this session. And I want to use this opportunity to thank you so much for your time and for having me. This will be the end. If there's any question, I'll be here to entertain it. I think I'm done.
Thank you so much, MEC. I'm here to attend a class that's so much explanation. Indeed, you are a teacher, because you broke everything down. Honestly speaking, I have not had a lecture like this one for such a long time. Thank you very much. So I'll just briefly share a screen of you. And so my first question is about the speaking. So I had this friend, he said when he was going to write it for his exam, he was not sure how to go about the speaking session. So he decided to like start forming accents and everything. He said because he started forming, it was not, we are not sure of something. So my question, I guess, from this is that, is it advisable for a person to form accent, or for the person to just like speak with a normal accent and you still make pass the speaking part of the exam?
Great. For the speaking test, the examiner, what's this? Okay, for the speaking test, the examiner grades 4 things. The examiner grades your fluency, your pronunciation, your grammar. What's the first one? I've forgotten. But, excuse me. But of all this, the most important one is fluency. By fluency, we mean your inability to talk without pausing, without fillers, your inability to talk without repeating one sentence multiple times. So you should prioritize fluency over pronunciation. And I'm still coming to pronunciation. By pronunciation, what I mean is your ability to speak English clearly, that it won't be difficult for the listener to make out what you are saying. So yes, feel comfortable to speak with your Eba accent. You can see that as I'm speaking now, I'm using Eba accent. I mean your local Nigeria accent. It's fine. No one is going to penalize you for that, because the examiner can hear what you're saying. It becomes a problem when you want to pronounce oil and you say oile, or you want to pronounce father and you say father. You want to pronounce cushion and you say kusin, like Ibadan people. So once your pronunciation is clear and the examiner can hear what you're saying, please, you don't need to fake your accent. Be comfortable with your Nigerian accent, but focus more on speaking fluently, without breaks, without repetition, without fillers. Have I
Okay,
answered that
thank you
question?
very much. Yes, you have definitely. So your one of the titles on your LinkedIn, which is literally what I just uploaded here, is that you are a US certified IELTS trainer. Usually, whenever we talk about USA, people's mind always first of all go to TOEFL, and then when you talk about the IELTS, they go to like British European countries. So what I want to know is, can you help us to like explain what countries as in, is that it's most suitable for you to sit for the IELTS for? Because some people
Okay.
are actually always confused. Which should I go for? Is it TOEFL? Is it this one? Is it that one? So please help us break it down.
Okay. Yeah. IELTS and TOEFLs are alternatives. Of course, there are countries that have their preferences, but many of these countries are relaxing their rules. For example, if you are going to the US, you are taking TOEFL. US prefer TOEFL, but most schools in US will accept IELTS if that's what you want. UK prefers IELTS, but most schools in UK will accept TOEFL if that's what you have. I think we shouldn't worry more about which country takes which exam. We should worry more on which of this exam is easier, or which of this exam which of this exam do I feel comfortable with? Because I'm not only an IELTS trainer, I am a travel abroad consultant. I find admission for people in US, in UK, in Canada. So I know what works. Many of these schools will accept either IELTS or TOEFL, regardless of where you're coming from. Just have one. So worry about the pattern of IELTS and TOEFL. Which one do you feel comfortable with?
Thank you very much for the explanation. So from your own perspective, just a very like quick one, which do you think is easier between TOEFL and IELTS?
This is going to be subjective, as you said. From my own perspective, I have taken IELTS, I've taken TOEFL, and of course I passed both. But in my experience, to be candid with you, in my experience, I think IELTS is way easier than TOEFL. I passed both, but I think IELTS is way easier than TOEFL.
Okay, thank you very much for your honest response. Okay, also about the material. So I was actually very observant when you kept saying stuff about that there are so much videos, so much materials and stuff like this about this exam online. So do you have any recommendation, like any recommended material that you would advise someone that wants to sit for this exam to go for? Like a website or somewhere, I don't know.
Yeah, not exactly. And this is why I am very familiar with YouTube videos, with websites that are, are focused on IELTS. I'm very familiar. But the problem with recommending any of them is that there is no definite pattern. And sometimes you can put the cat before the horse, or the horse before the cat. I can't even remember how that is said. So that's why it's difficult for me to, because because these things are so many and so cumbersome. What I recommend, the only recommendation I can make is that you have your own outline. When you have your own outline, these are the things I want to study. It will help you. Another recommendation I want to make is that you stop jumping from one trainer to the other. Stop jumping from one website to the other. If you choose to use IELTS Body, that's one website, or you choose to use IELTS Leads, one white lady like that, please, whoever you are choosing, stick to the person. That way, it's easy to minimize the volume of resources that can become overwhelming. The last option I'm going to give here is not to market myself at all. I'm not marketing myself whatsoever. I myself have a Banai bundle, a bundle that I prepared, like the lessons, the way you should take them in serial order. I have this bundle for my students. I offer the bundle for students who are unable to attend class, or for people who want me to train them when I'm not available. So for now, I'm in a season of my life when I'm not available. So for the past yes, for the past few months now, still till today, about 2 people still called me today for the bundle. So for the past few months now, I've been offering the bundle. So I can speak for the content of the bundle because I produce it, and I know that the lessons are in serial order, so you don't get things mixed up.
Okay,
So
thank you very much.
yes, let me quickly add, whichever websites you are using or whichever resources you are using, get hold of Cambridge practice materials. There are past questions in Cambridge books. I have 3 to 13. So these are past questions. So as you are taking the lessons, wherever you are taking your lessons, practice with Cambridge materials. You can get hold of them. I can offer you that free of charge.
Thank you. So please, Oluyemisi is on LinkedIn. Please, if you want to prepare for your IELTS, you've heard that she's a trainer. She has a Band 9 bundle. Please reach out on LinkedIn, and definitely you've listened to her. You've heard what she can, as in the knowledge that she has and everything. This is like probably one of the best lectures I've ever heard about this exam. So reach out on LinkedIn. She's there to respond to you and to give you the aid that you need. Thank you very much, Oluyemisi. This is a 1 hour, 30 minutes impactful lecture. Thank you. You're a good teacher. And I can't wait to connect to have more conversations with you on LinkedIn. Thank you for the time. We really appreciate.
It's really been a pleasure. I thank you for having me. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And thank you for the good job you are doing. More grace to your elbow.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. So that will be the end of the session. I believe you have a lot of things to do, so we'll just call it a night.
Yeah, that's fine. So do have a restful night.
And you too. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.